नाराए तकबीर, नाराए रिसालत, नाराए हैदरी, हुसैनियत, यजीदियत, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद व अज्जिल फरजहम. Yesterday, one of the respectable sisters on the other side of the curtain asked my wife to convey to me that today I should enlighten the audience on the importance of the flag. This is a day which is synonymized with the Mullah Abbas alayhi salam. So Parcham Abbas, as we call in Farsi, and flag of Mullah Abbas. So the importance of that, why Mullah Abbas was chosen. So in about 20 minutes, I'll be able to sum it up. But this is part of my wider research that I've been doing in the last 20 years through the history. That why flags are important, why banners are important, why coats of arms are important, why the colors are important, to distinguish communities from communities, okay? And to identify the villages, the clans, the citadels, the towns, the districts, the provinces, states, and the countries. Every country today has got its own flag. Every country having provinces or states, they have their own individual flags and banners. All the counties, in this country, in UK, we have 317 boroughs. They used to be the pocket boroughs or the rotten boroughs in the 18th and 19th centuries. But after the Reform Act of 1832, and later on Reform Act of 1867, all these boroughs, they were put into royal boroughs. And today we have 317 boroughs. And only 32 of them, they are in London. Every borough, I'm not talking about the counties, every borough has got its own banner, coat of arms, flag. So flag is indispensable. It's the symbol of identity. So this we understand. Islam is a religion of 57 countries. Islam is the religion of more than 2 billion people on the planet. So obviously, how come Islam does not have a flag? So let me tell you why Mullah Abbas was chosen, and I would like to give you just a couple of minutes on a brief history of attacks on Shia processions in the last 25 years. I mean, I was the co-author in 2014 when Zarb-e-Azab was being written. I was employed by the elites of that time, the national security mandarins. And I wrote about 20-page document, which later on became Zarb-e-Azab. And it really intrigues me to do some research that how many attacks were carried out. And there were 56 attacks in 2014 on the Shia processions in Pakistan alone. And now there are more than 100. Interestingly, for you youngsters, most of these attacks, these 100 attacks in the last 25 years, on the Shia processions, on Ashura or Shab-e-Ashur, Day of Ashur, they were hit. I mean, they hit the flag bearer. In Khanewal, in Rahim Jar Khan, in Karachi, 37 different attacks. Lahore, 7 different attacks. Rawalpindi, 4. Peshawar, 25 attacks. They always hit the bearer of Parcham, the flag bearer. And we have seen in our processions, mostly the bigger flags, they are very heavy. They weigh more than 100 kilograms. They are held by a very stout, a masculine man. And I call, this is the Parcham of Banu Hashim. So that anybody who is holding it in Pakistan, in maybe tens of thousands of processions during Muharram Ayyam, So I call them, they are the followers of Banu Hashim. And I call them as, I take the liberty, they are Banu Hashim. So only a Hashmi can hold the flag of Banu Hashim. So we see all these very powerful people. They have to go under the, big wires, high tension wires. They have to take into narrow streets, and still the Parcham Abbas remain intact and on the high. So look at this, even today, the enemies of Islam, they hit the Parcham bearer, the flag bearer. Do you understand where I'm coming now? Interestingly, the history of flags is, we know the banner and flag. The museum of flags, global flags, is in Ireland, in Dublin. There's a big museum. There's another museum in Berlin. I mean, they have kept the flags of more than 50,000 different tribes, clans, who lived in the last 2,000 years of recorded history of mankind. So you do research and do the Google, you will find the ancient flags also. Flags of Gizeh dynasty, 3,000 years ago. So it's recorded the Peloponnesian Wars or the wars of Sparta and Athens. They also had flags. The Romans in all the wars, 31 wars were fought by the Romans. Don't mix Romans and Eastern Roman. The Romans are the people who were in Italy, and Eastern Roman, they were the people, Eastern Roman Empire that was headquartered in Constantinople, which is modern day Turkey, on the Black Sea, on the south, on the northwestern side of the Black Sea, Constantinople. So the history comes in the modern history of Islam, how these flags came into. Now, Bani Hashim, in the 5th century, he made the first flag of his clan, the Hashmi flag. And going to the museum of flags, and the emblem on the flag, and the picture on the flag, it was the engraving. And that was the light coming from some unknown source, not sun, because if that was sun, then Abdul Shams, the founder of Banu Umayyah, would have taken the credit. So there was the flag, the very first flag of Banu Hashim was the light and sword. And Banu Umayyah, they had the flag as sun and people worshipping sun. Two parallel clans were the clan of Abu Quhafa, the father of Hazrat Abu Bakr. I am on record, so I take full responsibility of research. So father of Hazrat Abu Bakr, Quhafa, he was born in the year 538, and he outlived Hazrat Abu Bakr by about 7 months. He lived for 96 years. Abu Quhafa, recorded history of mankind, I'm quoting, full responsibility. Quhafa was the head of the clan of Banu Tam. Banu Tam. Teje Mim. And they have a flag. And that flag was the lizard of desert of Arabia. So a lizard is on the flag, recorded. Hazrat Umar's father was Khattab, and Khattab's father was Nufail. Hazrat Umar's clan was Adi and Dal-Ye, Adi. They also had a flag, and their flag was the serpent, the snake. Interesting. Great people, great flags. So these two flags, and when Hazrat Abu Bakr, he became the political ruler of Islam. Political rulers of Muslims, not Islam. Even I don't. He amended, he revoked the flag. And he said, no more desert lizard. Make it La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, that flag. And La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, don't be misguided by this kalma alone, because किसे खबरती चिराग मुस्तफा लेकर जहां में आग लगाती फिरेगी बूलाहबी. Under the banner of that kalma tayyaba, the enemies of Islam, Abu Bakr Baghdadi, ISIL, ISIS, Daesh, they also have the same flag as Abu Bakr had. But Hazrat Abu Bakr kept that flag with respect. After Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar came to power. Hazrat Abu Bakr came to power, well, chosen by people to come to power in the year 632. He ruled for a little less than 2 years. And then came Hazrat Umar from the Adi clan. And Adi clan, they had the banner of the serpent, snake. He also, when he became the political ruler of the Muslims, so he changed. He amended the flag and again to La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Good thing. We appreciate that anyway. From snake to Kalma Tayyiba is a huge transformation. And then what happened? There was a time, now as I said, Hazrat Umar's father, Khattab, was a teenager in the decade of 540s, 541 to 549. I'm coming to that important decade in the history. And his father, Nufail, was a grown-up man, 55. Hazrat Abu Bakr's father, Quhafa, was about 8 or 10 years of that time, in that decade. But history says that Quhafa, Abu Quhafa, and Nufail, the grandfather, they were the personal paid slaves of Abdul Muttalib. They remained the slaves of Abdul Muttalib for 28, 30 years. So that's why when Hazrat Umar's son, Abdullah ibn Umar, he went to Shahzada, to Hussain, when they were playing in their childhood. And he said, you can't play with us, you are the son of our slaves. And he became angry, he went to his father. His father said, no, I know. My grandfather, Nufail, was a paid servant of Abu Talib. So he said, don't worry, can you get them, write this for you? If you get it written by them, my salvation will be guaranteed. Look at that. So we appreciate that feeling. If that was true, we appreciate that. Now, interestingly, a very big event occurred in the year 541 AD. Remember, for you guys, there have been 6 main bubonic plagues in the modern history of last 1500 years. This bubonic, and you must have heard about that Black Death in your 1346 to 1353. 1346 to 1353. These 7 years. And you know how many people they died in Europe and Britain, modern day Britain? More than 200 million people perished in Black Death. That was a bubonic plague. Is that right, Doctor? So the bubonic plague that hit the Eastern Roman Empire used to be called Byzantium or Byzantine Empire of Eastern Roman, headquartered in Constantinople. So this plague hit them, and every day from the year 541 up until 549, 8 years, every day 33,000 people would perish. Look at the epidemic. We talk about COVID, coronavirus, a tiny epidemic as compared to this. So 33,000 people every day, and about 100 million in 8 years. 8 years, they have 2,920 days. So multiply that with 33,000, it's nearly 100 million people perished. So people, they spread to each and every corner of the Byzantium. And about 10,000 people, they moved and they tracked to Makkah. 4,000 of them, they arrived on the eve of 542. Now in the year 542, they reached Makkah, and they were told that in Makkah there is somebody who is very kind, who is very generous, who feeds the people, provides shelter to the people. He feeds the hungry people, and he gives homes to the homeless. And their chieftain, who came from the Byzantine community, he met with that person. And that person was none but Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam. Hazrat Abdul Muttalib alayhi salam. Hazrat Muttalib alayhi salam at that time was around 69, 68, 69. He had two other supporters and his partners in this good deed. So they were famous that they would feed the hungry, they would provide shelter to the homeless, and they would nurse the ill. So that is why this ayat was revealed, this surah was revealed on Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam. Addressing Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when you were hungry, I fed you. I mean who? So delegated to Hazrat Abu Talib. So this is a generational tradition. So what Hazrat Abu Talib did was, other two partners, Hazrat Abdul Muttalib's younger brother was Hazrat Asad, who was the father of Janab Fatima bint Asad. Hazrat Asad was 6 years younger than Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, real brother. And their first cousin, Hazrat Khawalid, the father of Janab Khadija. So entire money, okay, the funding was provided for this entire project by Hazrat Khawalid, a very rich man. Obviously, when we say Janab Khadija, Malikatul Arab, whose daughter she was, Hazrat Khawalid. So Hazrat Khawalid, Hazrat Asad and Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, they took the responsibility to treat, to feed, to nurse, to shelter these people from the Byzantine Empire. So they brought their flags. Okay? After 4 years, and Hazrat Abdul Muttalib asked a 12-year-old boy, 12 or 13 years old boy, come on honey, you have to support your Chacha Asad and your Chacha Khawalid. And the name of that youngster was Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam. So Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam, along with Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, his father, Hazrat Asad, his uncle, and Hazrat Khawalid, the cousin of his father. So he assisted them. After 4 years, these 4,000 people, 3,000 of them, they survived. And the year 551, they were returning to the Eastern Roman Empire. And when they were leaving, they requested Hazrat Abdul Muttalib that please, can we take some of your souvenirs? We are going back to Constantinople after 4 years, 5 years. And we would like to tell the people that, look, these are the people who helped us. So we cultivate a perpetual relationship of friendship, a strategic partnership for years to come. And Hazrat Abdul Muttalib said, oh, no problem, you can take our flag. And that flag was with sword and light, nude. So they took those flags and they went. The decades passed, almost 90 years passed, when Hazrat Umar took over himself the rule in the year 634 AD. And he ruled for next 13 years. 12 and a half years. So what he did was, after doing all the things in Medina, whatever he could, don't want to go into details, but then he started his conquests. And when he moved, it is said about so many books they have been written that the conqueror, Hazrat Umar, the conqueror of Eastern Roman Empire, conqueror of an empire, there is a book also available. And the true story about that conquest was, he went there, he was a very intelligent man. Hazrat Umar was a smart man, a politician. I mean, you know, all politicians in Pakistan, in UK, in India, politicians are very, very smart, very intelligent. So Hazrat Umar was very intelligent. When he was going to Constantinople, he carried a few flags of Banu Hashim, Nur and sword. And when they went there, 38,000 people he took along with him. And 100 miles short of Constantinople, when the frontline territorial armies of the Byzantine ruler at that time, they were there, and they saw and they reported back, there is an army of somebody. And then they were told that, can you identify the armies? what banners they are carrying, what flags they are carrying. And they sent a depiction of those flags. And along with Abu Bakr Baghdadi's flag, there were also flags of Banu Hashim. And when that was reported back to the Byzantine emperor, he said, oh, Banu Hashim, I have learned from my grandfather, great-grandfather, that how they were nourished, and they were nursed, and they were sheltered. So, are these the same? So, can you compare? So, he opened up his own treasures and compared the flags he had from his great-grandfathers. And he said, okay, they are the same people. He said, don't resist them, welcome them, they are our friends. So, without any effort, they accepted, they invited. So Hazrat Umar never conquered. Hazrat Umar was considered as one of Banu Hashim. So salawat. So you understand the importance of flag. So this flag, the same flag, when at the time of Dawat-e-Zul Shira, this flag of sword and Noor, this was erected near the pulpit of Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this flag became the flag of Islam. And then later on, Kalma Tayyibah was also added. And then Mawla Kainat Ali ibn Abi Talib became the flag bearer. Before him, the flag bearers were Hazrat Hamza alayhi salam, Hazrat Jafar Tayyar, the great commanders of the armies of Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Ghazwa Badr and Ghazwa Uhud. So the same flag, Noor and sword. So this flag became synonymous with Banu Hashim. And then that flag was transferred to Mawla Kainat Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, salawat. And Mawla Ali carried that flag in Khaybar, Khandaq, but in Hunain, and in the later wars and the battles. And then when Mawla Kainat Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he disappeared in the year 660 AD. Along with other responsibilities given by the end of his sermon to Mawla Abbas and Imam Hussain, and the hands of each other given into each other. This was another responsibility. Mawla Kainat said to Imam Hasan, Imam Hussain, that I'm giving this flag to Abbas. Although he is 12 or 13 years old, he is good enough, he is capable. So from there came Abbas Alamdar. So from the year 660 AD, Mawla Abbas was, so at 13 years old, Mawla Abbas became Alamdar. Salawat. And look at for the next 21 years, 22 years, Mawla Abbas held on to that flag. And it was a very heavy flag, very heavy flag. Flag of the commander, the front runner of the army, is always heavy. And Mawla Hussain, while giving that flag later on to Mawla Abbas, he gave two responsibilities. And there he tied the hands of Abbas not to fight. Abbas was the best swordsman amongst his contemporaries. But his both hands were engaged by Mawla Hussain. No, you have to hold heavy. He didn't have a third hand to use his sword. So by logic, Mawla Hussain engaged Mawla Abbas both hands. And those both hands, they were meant to hold on to the flag of Islam. And he did that. And Mawla Abbas cried so much, and we also cry. When Mawla Abbas on the day of Ashur said, "O mere Aka, O mere Mawla, allow me to fight. Allow me to fight." All youngsters, all teenagers, they have given their lives. Allow me also. And Mawla Hussain said, "Abbas, You are my commander. You're the commander of my armies. You have to lead my armies. And Mawla Abbas said, oh, mere Mawla, where is that army? Where is that army I'm leading? There was no army. So, Al-bin Abbas and Abbas are today synonymous towards steadfastness, holding the alam highest. And this is said, Mawla Abbas' physical appearance. He was 6 feet 4 inches, very tall man. His feet would drag onto the ground when he would ride a horse. And most of the Arabian horses, they are short in stature, short in height. And Mawla Abbas' horse was the biggest, was the tallest of all, just like a Persian horse. Today we have the Zuljana and all the processions in Pakistan, elsewhere. They pick up the Persian horse, the bigger one, 8 to 9 feet high. So Mawla Abbas actually was riding the highest of the tallest of the. But still, the tallest of the entire army of Mawla Hussain, the tallest of them, when he died, his body it shrunk to the smallest one. So we say Mawla Abbas, and today inshallah, I shall recite a Noha of Mawla Abbas. Hussain Ali Fazi, a poet, has rewritten a Noha, which was originally written, I was telling Masood, in 1913 in Lucknow. So that Noha was rewritten by Ali Hussain Fazi. Abbas Samar, Binte, Payghambar ki dua ka. Be-misl Shahenshah, Zamane mein wafa ka. I'll be reciting that Noha today. Wa ma alayna illa al-balagh.